Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at ARM Holdings. It is time for another update and very interesting developments on this chart. A very nice breakout. A breakout that could actually take us to a different pattern, significantly more bullish. So previously, I have provided to you this support zone for a wave 4 correction that will allow a wave 5 to be taking place. We did also have an internal 1-2 setup, but that has fully failed. And nonetheless, we are now able to consider that this structure would be following through within this as a wave 5. But given the actual strength that we are now witnessing after this movement to the upside, which would have been plenty for the wave 5, but given the follow-up breakout we see in this structure, I'm actually able to reset the entire wave 3. I am able to look for this to be instead a 1-2 setup itself, where this would be a 1-2, and only now would we really be developing the internal wave 3 to the upside. The internal structure allows this. It's not necessary. It is still possible for this to be an extended wave 5. But even in that case, we could actually be looking for trade setups at least internally within this movement to the upside. Now, before we actually get into those details, I do want to highlight that on the larger time frame, the game has changed because this latest extension, this latest breakout, allows me once more to resume tracking a potential impulse in the case of this chart. Previously, we have been looking for this to potentially be building an ending diagonal within this as a wave C, right? This is still a possibility. I can still track this exact A, B, C pattern in orange, but it is not necessary because I have now fulfilled enough of an extension, enough of a breakout to be able to once more track a 1-2 setup where we have gotten to a quite large amount of 1-2 setups, but the structure to back up those claims, those ideas of a 1-2 setup is here. I can track a series of 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and even here potentially another 1-2 setup. Then this would be, instead of what we previously had as a potential wave 3, a potential wave A, then could be now another 1-2 setup, and this would be my wave 3 to the upside. Because within the wave 3 I am currently tracking, I am looking at an ideal target to be the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, right? I just mentioned I would have this as a wave 1 up, this as a wave 2 down, and my wave 3 would be forming right now. Well, we have achieved those levels. We don't even seem to be too close to a top yet. So I can, once more, track this new expectation or revisited expectation because we have been previously considering the possibility of an impulse on this chart, but it has failed to deliver within this structure because it has only managed to build a diagonal pattern, right? So I do not even really want to focus on this white interpretation any longer. I will be hiding it, in fact, with the mention once more that it is still a possibility. So I will now go into the smaller time frame to identify what else is of interest in the case of this structure. So I will not actually go ahead and label absolutely everything because, as I was mentioning, I can track this as the actual wave 3. So I could have, in reality, a series of 1-2 setups within this entire movement to the upside where, yeah, all of this, everything I have just drawn is a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and so on up until this point where I would track this as a wave 3 to the upside. This is what we will actually be labeling, and I will focus on the internal structure because even within what I am now labeling as the wave 3, I am looking for even further extensions. So we go into an even smaller time frame where I can more clearly show you my expectations for this movement. I am tracking a wave 1 up here, a wave 2 down, then a double 1-2, 1-2 setup here, and this is what I would consider to be a possible wave 3. So I would go ahead and label this one as well, where if we have a more substantial top within this as a wave 3, I can start looking for a larger wave 4 correction. I would then have to watch the levels of support between the 23.6% retracement down to the 50% retracement. We can notice that they have already been reached. We have already fulfilled those expectations, so I could be looking for this to potentially have already bottomed. Now, it is perfectly possible. I am considering this scenario, but within this wave 4, I would probably like a larger correction. But I will caution that I do not have evidence that this wave 3 would have a top in. I'm mostly certain that this would be the wave 5, but this wave 5 internally and within this wave 3 could very easily be extending within a few interpretations. So if I go actually into an even smaller time frame, I would be able to look for this to be either an ending diagonal in a wave 5 where I'm missing the wave 5 of the wave 5. To be clear, this movement to the upside doesn't seem particularly complete to me. Or this could instead be the wave 1 of an extended wave 5 where I would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Perfectly acceptable possibility, but not necessarily something I would want to be trading. So we can ask ourselves, what do we really need to look for either a potential trade or a failure of this structure? So I would like to consider the possibility, because it's within such a small time frame, that this 1-2 setup would have this 4-5 pattern as a match, where this would have been the wave 3 to the upside, and in that case, I would like to allow a deeper retracement. Once more, this will have to be the case because it's within such a small time frame that we cannot fully trust the structure that we see here. So we go with a slightly deeper level of support that I would need to see a sustained break below before I would actually consider strongly that this pattern is actually complete. And I want to be fully clear when I say that anything is possible. I'm not here trying to predict what will happen in the case of this chart or any chart for that matter. I am simply tracking levels of support that are commonly reached within corrections, levels that could be interesting for a potential buy opportunity, and levels that would tell me the pattern would no longer be reliable to be tracked. So for practical purposes, it might actually make sense to only track the lower area of support since it has also already been reached and it allows a more clear level of invalidation, right? I do not want to see a sustained break below $383. That is basically it. If that happens, I have to be strongly prepared that we would see a broader failure of this movement to the upside. Perhaps the structure has followed a completely different pattern. Perhaps this entire movement would instead be within an ending diagonal of a wave 5. No reason to look beyond that. We would have to wait for more clarity in the case of this chart before looking for an opportunity once more. Then if we actually get an extension within this as a wave 3, we would have to simply readjust the wave 4 area of support, which is actually what interests me in the case of a trade setup here anyway. I might even want to allow a confirmation to be in before I do anything, but for now, let's actually focus on what we have at hand. So in this extremely small 5-minute time frame, I would actually go ahead and even prefer to consider this as a 5-wave pattern down. I would be watching out for a potential 3-wave correction to the upside, and then at the very least another 5-wave move to the downside. You do have to consider that this is within such a small time frame that distortions are easily possible, but this is what I would generally expect. This could take me quite easily actually into structural support levels that I see here, and I can even draw over between these previous lows around $391 all the way down to, what is it, like $381.4. I could easily see a dip even below this level without actually invalidating the structure for a potential wave 4 in this area. So we could be watching for a potential bottom, especially within this region, but really anywhere within this area of support can be expected to allow a reversal to occur. And as we form this wave 5 to the upside, we would then need to look out for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. We form the wave 4 correction, the next wave 5 to the upside, and then we look for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. We can continue to ride these waves and actually make a decent amount of money while doing so. But for now, we will stop here. These are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content and want to support it directly, check out the channel membership, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.